Welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Thursday, February the 9th, 2023. And our calling number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you in the queue to talk to us. And we would love to hear your comments and your questions because that makes this your show. And I'll welcome Michael, and we do already have a hand up. It's, I think, a hand left over from Dr. Tim's show, but we do have a hand up.
Great. Well, let's just go right in and say hello to the hand and the person behind it.
828, you're on the air.
Welcome, 828. Give us a name. Where are you calling from? Are you mute challenged?
Is this Magda? I think it's Magda.
Magda with a mute challenge. Maybe we can't hear you, Magda. Hello, Magdalena.
Hello.
Well, there she is. Hey, young lady.
All right. I couldn't figure out how to get that. Okay. I just have a question about. I need to do a mind shifter for Saturday, the breathing, and
right.
I'm wondering where I can find the most recent one because I want to work on death issues, fear of death issues. And I know you have a new section.
Do you have the new set in front of you, Jeanie, or can you access it easily? I have my phone here.
I can resend it. Let's see, but let me find it.
You ready for a new layer?
Yeah, I've been putting this off and putting it off, and pretty soon I'll be dead and I won't be. I'll cancel
that thought. Yeah, you'll get rid of that one in a hurry.
Yes, cancel. Okay, and the section of healing death is section 5. Pick a number 1 to 13.
Oh, I'm going to need to be able to write. I have to get to a pencil and paper.
And I'll send it to you as well. But
oh, okay, 1 to 13. 12 is coming up.
Okay. Are you ready?
Sort of. Hold on. Okay, go.
I am aware of.
Oh, okay.
And quickly heal. All speech and behaviors.
As just exhibited and behavior.
Reflecting thought disorders.
What? Disorders.
Yep. So I am aware of and quickly heal all speech and behaviors reflecting thought disorders.
Oh, that's it. I thought it was going to have something to do with death, thought disorders regarding death. No? No.
Well, here's my offering.
Okay.
All disease is a reflection of mental illness. All the things that kill us are thought disorders, energetic patterns that never belonged within this energy system. As I allow myself to look at my thought disorders for what they are rather than making up perceptual constructs about how well this one's okay because, and I justify it. I want to become aware of the fact that, I say to myself, well, I do a little hostility and see if I can nudge them along to do what I want them to do. And there's nothing wrong with that, is there? But hostility is a thought disorder that kills. That creates disease. That creates suffering. That creates pain. So that would be my offering in regard to that particular mind shifter and why that one's there under healing death issues.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to go with it.
Okay, and a second thought I have is right now I think we're now, the last email that Jeanie sent out for last month, there were 17 different sections. So how about also do a number from 1 to 17? What pops in your head?
8.
8. And then from 1 to 13, what pops in your head?
2. Number 2.
Yep.
So 8, 2.
Right.
Let's look and see what 8, 2 says.
I've got it. It is safe and healing. And I love it.
I love it.
When people make me wrong.
Ooh.
It's Power Person Issues is the title of that section.
Yeah.
But I know you wouldn't recognize anything about that one, so.
No, not at all. One of my humongous issues is being misunderstood and people making me wrong because of their misunderstanding of my actions or whatever. Yep.
Oh, Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so let me ask, what has you at this moment specifically looking to do a mind shift around the issue of death? I mean, is it guidance? Is there something going on in your life that has you heading for that one?
It's definitely internal awareness that it's time for me to face up to what I've been avoiding. And I've skirted around it by doing some worksheets and some work on I'm afraid to die because people might see that my desk is a mess, stuff like that. But, yeah. Anyhow, it's guidance.
So I'd recommend you cancel your need to clean up your desk.
I know. It's the funny thing is when I cancel my need to do that sort of thing, that's when I do it then.
That's kind of the dichotomy of the mind, isn't it?
Yeah. Pretty wonderful, really. Yeah.
Were you on the show last week or 10 days ago, whatever it was, when I shared what I had happen in a still point session I was doing about death?
I may have heard it. I'm not sure. I didn't get to hear everything last week. Can you review quickly?
Well, it may just resonate some things that help open this up a little more, but you'll probably remember because I have spoken about it a couple of times, and I'm sure you would have been on one of the times when I spoke of going back. It's probably about a year ago now. I was doing a still point session, and of course I've got my eyes closed, look down to turn my eyes downward, which I do. And what I perceive, what I see, is just this vast darkness, like such a huge, vast space of darkness that I can't comprehend the size of it. And in it are all these spots of light, and I'm told that this is my ancestors asking me if I will help them, if I will be the space to help to process that darkness, to which I verbally said out loud, yes, I will. And I guess that was as much as I was ready to hear back about a year ago when that opened. And then whatever time frame it was, a week, 10 days ago, I was doing another still point session, and what I was shown was that space of darkness again, and that my ancestors weren't really asking me to process darkness, but were asking me to process death. And I physically went through, I sleep under a 20-pound weighted blanket, single blanket. Jeannie's got one too. And I asked Jeannie if she'll put her blanket on me as well, because as that's opening, I became so cold, I could literally feel the heat draining out of my body, even though I had two. Now I've got 40 pounds of blanket on me, these weighted blankets. And I realized that what I'm experiencing is death, what death feels like as the heat and the life just drained out of my body.
Right.
And it was about, that whole process went on for a period of about 6 hours physically.
Wow.
It was really very intense. And that came right at the tail end. I don't know if the 2 weeks before, I had done a massage session with a massage therapist here, and she had done some extreme stretches on my low back. And in those stretches, I got in touch with being beaten by my father. And for about 2 weeks, I could hardly get up or stand up. And that was at the tail end of processing that abuse issue with my dad. It's not an issue that was new to me. I knew it was there. I'd done worksheets on it before, but I hadn't processed it on a physiological level like I did with this, stretch that happened. It just opened my low back in a way that, it just moved. It wasn't 2 weeks of hard to walk, hard to bend over, 2 weeks of trauma. And this whole death, physically processing death, came at the completion of that. And as I shared just the other day, or maybe it was even yesterday, we're in the process of creating this native species garden. So we had gotten a dump truck load of mulch and topsoil. And we were figuring out what we'd show. We actually did another layer of it this morning. And there was 2 weeks of the kind of pain that I had as a kid and for the first 50 or so years of my life in the way of back pain. And then, I've been without it for many years now. But about 2 weeks of going through it. And then when that completed with that session, and we hadn't ordered the topsoil, we were ready for it, but we hadn't ordered because I couldn't have shoveled it. And then when we calculated out, we actually have about 40,000 pounds of topsoil that we got. And we've probably, what is that piled down to now, Jeannie? Maybe 25 what we started with, that we've shoveled and hauled.
Or a little less.
So we've, between us, moved a good, almost, I guess it was 20 tons we came up with. That's what the dump truck was, right? So there's about 40,000 pounds. We probably moved 30 of it, and zero impact on my back whatsoever. I've shoveled every shovel of it, hauled this little cart, filled with. So nice to be on the other side of a healing crisis. Nice to have the healing crisis, but it was interesting how all of those things juxtaposed, getting to a new level of what was going on in my physiology that ultimately, in the context of our conversation, would have been one of the things that would have killed me physically. That trauma held in tissue, I believe, would have contributed to my death. And it's just another layer, that I've been asking Ruka for a long time now, to show me anything and everything, every energy stored in my genes and otherwise, that have killed any of my ancestors in all of history, and to be willing to hold that and to process that and to move through it.
Okay.
So if you're ready for that project, I'll certainly join you and support you in it.
I'm glad you gave me that explanation, and I will ask with the same intention when I begin my writing on the mind system. Yeah.
To me, it's overcoming the energetic dynamics that have been rolling along through our generations and literally killing everybody. We in this culture, we think, gee, if somebody lives 100 years, they've really lived a long life. And if you're designed to be eternal, 100 years certainly isn't a long life, but we tend to think of it that way. And so what is the energy? What are the dynamics that kill us on a physiological level? And are we willing to face them? Are we willing to have them open, process them? And everyone is going to be based in a thought disorder.
Sure.
Mind energy that didn't belong in tissue in the first place. One of the new things that I've been doing new for the last few months is whenever something happens that brings up some form of hostility or fear in me, I've been just speak to myself in terms of, okay, there's my mental illness. Comes, my mind wants to blame Jeanie or wants to blame Joe or Harry or Mary or whoever.
Yeah.
But that's my mental illness, this hostility that wants to come up and be put into my brain's image of and convince me that somebody else is the cause of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is my mental illness, and I want to own it, and I want to see it truly for what it is and remove it, because that's the only thing that can kill us.
That's a very nice way of recognizing what's going on in reality and facing it right away. That sounds like a great technique. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's gotten really clear, and I've actually been a little bit, but you've opened space. Coming on with this is a topic that's been on my mind after going through what I went through the last couple of weeks, and I've been considering whether to offer on the show the thought that I just offered, and I will offer it again. You've opened a space for it to get clear for me. All disease, all death, and all suffering is from mental illness. It's not from physical disease. It's all death is a mental illness, because that's what becomes our physiology, what we do with our mind energy. Opening words in the book of John. In the beginning was the mind energy, and the mind energy became flesh. Comes our physiology, and if our physiology is somehow defective or diseased, it's because the mind energy behind it is off base. And mind energy that's off base is a mental illness. And of course, when you look at it that way, and this is one of the reasons why I was kind of like thinking, gee, am I going to bring this up? Am I going to say this like just straight out like that? It's like, well, Michael, you mean everybody in our culture has got mental illness? Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's not that we can recognize the truth. It's not that we can recognize the truth of that we can start to work through it. As long as we keep telling ourselves a lie, oh, well, it's just for this, well, I'm just doing it, well, it's okay, everybody's doing it, what the heck, then I can just roll down that road unconsciously and pretend it means nothing. It means everything. It's our lives.
Right. There's a Greg Braden interview I'd like to send to you. You might already have it, but when I find it again, I will send it to you. And it just elucidates the fact of what you've just said. So,
awesome.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
I'd love to have it. Thank you. Yeah, all right, you have a blessed one. Give Chuck a hug for us. Hey, we're going to see you this summer.
Will. Okay.
Rocking on. We just got confirmation, so.
Okay. All right. Good. Blessings,
all right.
And I shall listen now. Okay.
All right. Blessings. Thanks. Appreciate you.
You too.
And we have another hand up.
Awesome. Let's go for it.
And it is, I believe, Mr. Joe, area code 864. You're on the air.
Hey, good afternoon.
Welcome, good sir. How do you be? We're rocking.
I be.
We shoveled.
Yeah,
we have been shoveling mulch and soil. I mean, we've got this whole 25 by 100 foot area covered with about probably 3 to 4 inches, the whole thing. And
that's great.
Getting ready to go out and mulch. Getting ready to go out and mulch some leaves to put on top because it's supposed to rain and have wind tonight. So, hoping to get it wetted down so it'll all stay in place now that we've got it started.
The pictures
How about
look like
Joe?
a great location.
Yeah,
The pictures look like a great location.
Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. When every time we look out the window, it's the soil on it now it's looking really neat. Nice dark soil and looking good. So what's happening for you, sir?
Well, I wanted to call in. I sent you that note that I got from a friend, and
Yes.
I guess I'm looking to. I guess the first part I would like to say is that the person that I'm engaged with, involved with, I'm just, I guess, curious as to her interpretation of what's going on for me, because to me it's I don't know, I'm uncomfortable with, she will say something like, the majority of the issues that you seem to have, Joe, were coping skills that make your life less dangerous, perhaps less risky, less intimate. And you might see there's a whole lot more intimacy that the two of us could have if I could get through these issues that I have. So what confuses me is just this idea of, well, wait a minute, you're interpreting through your filter what my issues are. And I just feel like saying, oh, thank you for sharing, but what's going on for you?
Mm-hmm.
What are you experiencing? And how can we, I guess I'm not doing enough of that and saying, I appreciate your feedback, but, I so far in the relationship, I thought I was being open and intimate and willing to discuss what was coming up for me. And I don't know, I guess it's not enough, maybe, or it's just, maybe I'm not asking the right questions, or I'm not asking any questions at all. Or when I do, for instance, yesterday, I began to whisper to her, and she's like, "Oh," I said, "I have something I'd like to share with you," and I said it in a whisper, and she got, "Oh, geez, oh, what's this?" And I'm like, "Oh no, come here, just, let me tell you what it is." I shared with her what it was, and then I said, why are you, what does whispering do to you? You don't like it. It's scared. You told me it scared you. What's scary about whispering? And no, we're not going to.
Of course, nobody's ever been
that.
scared about whispering. Nobody's ever, of course, been scared about whispering or anything else. But there's fear there.
I guess what I find is, that we're both busy professionals. We're busy during the day, and with the newness of the relationship, we're having, we'll have dinner, then we'll recline, watch some TV or whatever. We've been doing this gazing where we just look at each other from a distance, maybe 10 foot.
Mm-hmm.
Done with you, and I love it. This is all great stuff, and she asks really good questions. So I guess I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, well, okay, Joe, she asks good questions, then what's the issue here? I don't know. I don't know. That's why I called you. That's why I sent you that, because I find it like, just like, do I want to? Am I being defensive, or what am I doing? Or is it okay? Is it okay for me to ask her questions? Like, what's with this? There's no question she has a temper. She tells me stories where she's at work and she tells her boss, we either do this or I'm leaving. the discussion I had with her, I was like, well, that might not be your best move. I mean, how about just, saying something a little bit different than, it's either me or the highway. And it's like, what about considering something else, less drastic? So
my first question would be, have you done any worksheets around what's coming up with for you when she, gives you a statement like the one you texted me?
Not yet.
Okay. So what I hear
that's
then,
what I'm going to be doing over the next few days. Yeah.
Yeah. So my feedback would be, what I hear is that you're trying to figure out what it means when she tells you what she's told you.
Yeah.
And you remember in the codependence work, we talk about how the fact that figuring it out is the number one pseudo-solution of the non-being mind, and is the booby prize, because you'll never figure it out. You'll never figure out all the energy dynamics of what's gone on in her history and her relationships and her genetics and her family life, and why is that interacting the way it is in your history and your genetics and your family life, and what's coming up for each of you. You'll never figure out the why of it. However, you could step in and, like, I don't know exactly what's going on for you as you hear those statements from her. It sounds like maybe it borders on frustration. Or if you let yourself really be in touch with it, maybe it's even stronger than frustration. And that frustration could be a symbol of some fear, of, what's coming.
Yeah.
Maybe
right.
the thought comes, maybe fear of abandonment, especially when you tell me about how she's told the boss, it's the highway or my way. And is there a part of you that has some fear about that happening in your relationship?
Yeah, I mean,
and if so, then
she writes,
of course, you wouldn't be in fear about that happening, but fear might be coming up, and you could put it into the possibility of that happening. So I'd dig in with some worksheets and start looking at what's moving in me, collapse the constructs in my mind that are based in hostility and fear, and look at the underlying energetic dynamics in me.
Right.
And I suspect that you'll find a whole new clarity will come.
Well, yeah, that's the asking for the clarity of it. I find myself, it's just, I don't know. I think there's a certain attempt to be my therapist, and I'm like, well, how about if we, be your own therapist and work on your stuff, or whatever.
Have you guys talked about being there as support for each other when stuff comes up?
Yeah, I have. Not so much her.
Okay.
She's more of the. Hang on a second. She's more of the. She's the manager of this business. They do landscaping, interior design, exterior design, and she's just very, very busy dealing with all of the issues. She's managing people too, and I can.
I lost your voice. Are you still there?
It's hard.
Okay. Your voice disappeared there for about the last 30 seconds. So if you could step back to, you were saying she was managing people, and then your voice disappeared totally for about 30 seconds.
She manages what I call a data dump at dinner, where she tells me all the, this, that, and this is what's going on here. And I'm like, I'm more than willing to listen and learn and see, how it's benefiting her and what's coming up for her. But I don't think she wants to go any deeper than that. And that's a guess. That's just silliness on my part as far as guessing. I should ask the question,
Yeah, it sounds like
that's what I'm
from
learning.
what you're saying. Yeah, it sounds like from what you're saying that she's being relatively open with what's going on inside for her. And perhaps with that text you sent me inviting you to do the same. And
yeah, I absolutely. I mean, that's been the most wonderful part is the encouragement for the intimacy. And I don't know why I don't, and I don't know what it's like. Okay, you know, she writes, you know, I'm squirmy, I'm reactive, I'm demanding, and I'm unreasonable sometimes. And it's like,
she's saying that about herself.
Huh?
She's saying that about herself?
Yeah.
That's pretty open. That's pretty upfront and honest.
Yeah, there it is.
It's like,
yeah. I mean, the other thing I would share is last night, you know, I was like, listen, I'm going to go back to my place because I'm just, you know, not going to stay over because I've got a busy day today, and I just think this is the best solution for me, and I shared that with her, and I said, you know, I don't want you to think there's nothing but loving gratitude, compassion for our relationship. I'm just going to go home and get a good night's sleep, because if we're together in the same bed, then
you don't exactly get a good night's sleep.
Don't exactly get a good night's sleep.
You know.
So. Well, I said, you know, we're not spring chickens, you know. And she said, don't ever say that, huh?
There might have been a time where that might have been the answer to a prayer, right? but not so much today. I say there might have been a time where that might have been the answer to a prayer, but not so much today.
I don't know. I just find her to be, you know, very engaging. I'm excited to be with her. Huh?
And it sounds like she's showing you some parts of yourself that you're not sure you're ready to deal with yet. So I'd put the pen to the paper and do some worksheets around that. Maybe look at what's coming up for you in terms of power person dynamics, you know, in the codependence to interdependence intensive that you're doing, the self-study. You might want to dig out the new extended power person worksheet and do a power person worksheet around what's coming up, what's going on. I think you'll find that'll unravel some big pieces of what's under the surface for you.
Yeah, I'm meeting with a energy worker tomorrow for an hour, and I really think there may be. I don't know that I've completely, or I don't know the level of grief with the taking care of my mother, and then her passing, and the things that happened between moving in together with her and then her dying.
Right.
I'm not sure I'm all around that yet, or
probably not
comfortable.
It's pretty fresh.
I don't think. Yeah.
So my offering would be it's safe to let your guard down and let all of that open up.
It's safe to let my guard down.
And let all of that open up.
And all of it open up. Okay.
What's happening with your breath?
It's good. I just had a good one.
Good.
There's a good one.
Yeah.
Safe to let my guard down and all of it up. That's going to be
all of it open up.
That's really all of it open up, and all of it open up. That's really going into this energy work tomorrow. I think that's my mantra, or my focus too.
Well, and were you on the show from the beginning when I first started talking with Monica?
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, pretty much.
So it sounds like it's all just fitting into the puzzle, and that maybe it's time for the unresolved issues of death in your bloodline, as resonated by the recent passing, relatively recent passing of your mom, and allowing everything that goes along with that to come forward. And that's, for most people, a giant can of worms.
Death in the bloodline.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate that on? What do you, more specific?
Just that, when you recognize, just looking around at the culture, how many people do you know that are processing the things that are going on in their lives on a minute-to-minute basis? It's pretty rare.
Right.
And if you look back at what, when we were kids, what that generation did with issues and how they processed them, and how do you suppose 10 generations ago the family system was processing things like the death of a parent or the fear of death? How many generations has it been, do you suppose, since somebody in your bloodline or mine, I'm talking to me too and about myself, processing that whole issue, how many generations do you suppose it's been before one of our ancestors was able to stand with someone in the process of death and be in a total state of connected love and just hold the space for them to do that and support them through the whole process of letting go?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. I mean, I willingly moved in with her. I willingly, administered and helped her, and then hospice kicked in willingly, and just was the caregiver. And then she died. There was no getting better. Mom,
right.
You're not going to get better. We're not in solution world. This is transition.
Right.
And not that I had those discussions with her, but I had those discussions with myself to say, we're not going to take something here and fix this. This is bye-bye.
So I would suggest you have that discussion with her.
With who? Susan?
With your mother? No, with your mother. As though she were here. I'd have that discussion with her. And see what surfaces for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was certainly, I would say there's some grace, but there was a lot of just ugliness or just nasty, just the body, just like you were talking about, it just got cold. It just stopped functioning. Parts started to stop, and then she took her last breath, and that was it.
Yeah. So it sounds like processing through death is going to be an important part of you coming to a new level of life and a new willingness to enter into relationship in a way that is maybe going to be messy because of what's going to come up for you, what's going to come up for her. But, if people are going to deal with what's been undealt with in their bloodline, relationship, death, and otherwise, it's going to get messy. I mean, there's just no way about it. And to expect a partner to say, well, but you're going to keep this all clean and neat and under wraps, right? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to get messy. And I think if you can clean up some of those conversations you had with yourself, but you withheld from Mom, if you can have those with her, I suspect it will open the space for you to be able to open some messy conversations with this lady, and for you both to come out the other side better off because you opened the space and let it get messy. It's like, is it safe to get messy? Or does it all have to be clean and the way I want it to be, or it's my way or the highway?
Is it safe to get messy?
I mean, there might even be a moment or two of hostility or rage or yelling or
True.
nasty things to be said.
Well, that's what I don't. I mean, you know, I remember us talking about that. You know, you're living out of what you don't want to have happen. What?
Yeah.
It's not,
Right.
no. Just.
Then that's what you're going to
get. Yeah. It's more.
The more you don't want it to happen, the faster it's coming to town.
What, I think it's the law of resistance, or what is that? I don't know if it's a law, but the more I resist, it persists.
Yeah.
Like
and so can I get safe? Can I stand in the space of my own messiness, or this person that I'm establishing an intimate relationship with, can I stand in the space of their messiness and stay connected to being, stay connected to who I am as love, and process through that?
say it again, I'm sorry. Can I get
to the point where it is safe enough for me to allow my messiness to come forward, the stuff I haven't dealt with? Can I allow the space for that to happen for her? And can I still stay connected to active present love? Can I still function as a human being? Or am I going to get lost in that messiness? Am I going to get lost in aspects of it? You know, perhaps you can remember times in your history where you got lost in aspects of things like frustration or rage or guilt or fear, or, you know, or someone else's guilt and rage and fear.
True.
But you can bet there's guilt and rage and fear for you to process. From what you're saying, it sounds like there's guilt and rage and fear for her to process. So what's the healing process going to look like? It's going to look like guilt and rage and fear. Can I stand connected to love and be with that happening? And refrain from the old, well, if you're going to do it that way, then I'm out of here, because you're not doing it the way that I want you to do it. And, you know, if you don't do it my way, then I hit the highway.
Yep. That's it. That's the move. That's the move.
So can you be committed to staying connected to love and allow all that needs to be opened? I mean, who knows what old terrors and traumas and pain lurks under the surface of your generational mind and or hers.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go into some form of hostility or fear, can you stop and go, oh, rather than making it about her, this is my mental illness, and I'm willing to be with it. And all you have to do is be the space of active present love when it opens up and it just begins to dissolve. That's what disappears in you and in her.
Right. Excellent. This is my mental illness. What I do with my mind energy.
Exactly. And your mind, like mine, like everybody else's, is extremely skillful about making what it's doing about somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
Remember, every time I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of what's moving inside of me, that's what I'm doing. There's actually a really cute, about a 5-minute video on YouTube, and I'm trying to think of the comedian's name. Jeanie will probably kick into it in a moment. It's called, it's a well-known comedian, and he plays a psychiatrist, and he has Bob Newhart.
Oh, yeah.
Bob Newhart.
Another one. You talked about this before.
It's hilarious. I mean,
yells at it.
Just stop it.
Stop it.
Just stop it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he charges $1 an hour and he doesn't make change. And so you tell him your problem. He says, okay, now here's the solution. Are you ready for it? Well, I think I need to write this down. No, I don't. I think you'll remember it. Are you ready? Just stop it. Just stop it. It's hilarious. But you know, it's really like what we need to do. But we can only stop it when love is present to dissolve whatever it is that we're doing.
it is so fascinating that love can and does work.
Absolutely, 2,000%.
Yeah.
You just have to be able to do it.
Yeah. Well,
that's the trick.
And
when the
that's the practice. That's the practice.
That's the practice. The practice of being in relationship with yourself as love, and allowing whatever else needs to surface. And rather than getting lost in it, and the power of the forgiveness process is that self that's insane has so much emotional and mental racket noise going on that when it starts, the subtle, still voice of the presence of love gets lost. And each time that you forgive, as that surfaces, that voice of insanity weakens a little bit more, until in the space of that voice doing its thing, the voice for love can still be heard, and the guidance of love can still be followed, rather than being sucked into those dynamics that, in every one of our bloodlines have been going on for 1,000 generations, and it contains some of the most bizarre and intimidating and traumatic stuff that anybody can imagine.
Yeah,
and it's
in
dissolved
the commitment
by the active presence of love. It's in the commitment.
I love the passage where my connection to Source, my relationship with you, and our serenity will always be more important than any issue.
That's a big one. What a piece of learning.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's almost ought to walk around with it on my, and read it every moment, almost every interaction. It's my connection to, everybody I meet. I mean, there's the holy encounter. I mean, every encounter is a holy encounter.
Yep. It just occurred to me. I have a friend that I just saw some pictures of recently, and this guy, from the last time I saw him, is just loaded with tattoos. I mean, loaded with tattoos. Areas of his body, like, several dozen square inches just covered in tattoos. And it just occurs to me that, that could be a reason for a tattoo, to put that one on your arm so that you just have to raise your arm, and there it is in writing. In the middle of the muddle. There's the reminder. Oh, my relationship with you is more important than these issues. My serenity, your serenity.
Right. Yeah, I mean, just make it a small enough font so it's not, everybody can't necessarily read it. It's just for me. I mean, either that or a bracelet. That's the other thing. Just have a bracelet that reads that.
Or you could make it large enough so that you could hold it up for anybody to see.
Yeah, I'll get sandwich board. I'll walk around town. Hey,
there you go.
Hey, that's
sandwich board. There it is. Rather than your sandwich board saying the end is coming, it could be my relationship with you and our serenity. My connection to Source is more important than any issue. There you go. Boy, now that sandwich board could have done some
Jeanie,
good in the world.
Is she there? Is Jeanie anywhere to be found?
She's probably just put the order in for the sandwich board for us. Knowing Jeanie. I mean, she's on top of it. That girl's on top of it, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeanie, you tell him.
Yeah, she's going to ask me if I want nylon straps.
What?
Huh? But you'd ask me, well, do you want foam, or do you want wood, or do you want, nylon straps on your sandwich board? I mean, exactly how do you want this, Joe? What kind of font do you want the writing? Oh, geez.
I think Times New Roman's enough.
Yeah, exactly. All right, my brothers and sisters.
So I join you in the ability to really stand in the space and create that eternal relationship that you so deeply, in the deepest parts of your heart, I hear you desire.
I'm writing. Stand in the space for the eternal relationship.
That what I hear, the deepest part of your heart longing for.
Yeah.
You know, it's the transition, you know, and this I think particularly applies to us as men, is that one of the things that we've been taught in this culture is to have relationships with bodies, and that it's bodies that are attractive. And so when we objectify ourselves and others, then we become bodies in relationship with other bodies, and of course they're objects, and like all other objects, when you're finished with the object in this culture, you're supposed to throw it away. And that's what happens with relationships. They become disposable. But when you recognize yourself as a human being, and you recognize this other person as a being, now you're a being in relationship with a being, and now the real thing happens. But all that other garbage needs to be processed through because it's been going on for thousands of years. In all of our bloodlines.
Yeah. No, it's that objectification is one of the most fruitful things so far with Susan, that she's, you know, all those type of things are just, oh, you know, yeah, okay, let's we both see that, all right, fine, but let's move into the realm of interconnectedness and play and staying connected to source, and, you know,
so
experiencing joy.
For that to happen, there are two deaths that are going to need to occur. You know, Yeshua says, in order for you to live, being, you, non-being, have to die.
Right.
That self is going to have to die in you, and that self is going to have to die in her.
Yeah.
And then true life, true relationship happens. Now, it's a different game than what anybody's seen on the planet. And certainly a different game than what most of us had modeled in our lives, in our early worlds.
Yeah. Good call. I got to go.
All right, my friend. Bless you. Appreciate you holding space.
Bless you guys. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, I just want to breathe on that one. Joe, if you're still on the line.
He's not.
He left. Okay. Okay. Tell you what, if you would, once you do what you're going to do next, would you send him a quick text? And because I had this guidance earlier, and then we got into a different conversation. I didn't follow through with it, but ask him to pick two numbers, 1 to 17, 1 to 13, and then let's just send him a second mind shifter.
And you're down to 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Time flies when you're having fun. Well, let me just say that we did get confirmation from the folks at the Steiner Education Conference that wants to use Heartland, that they are going to come and do an intensive of their own at Heartland. It's actually the first time we've done this in over 30 years. But they inspired us to, we weren't going to open this summer, but they've inspired us to do that. So from the 11th of August to the 21st of August. They'll be doing their conference. We have not yet sat down and set up the dates to back up from that, but prior to that intensive happening for the folks who do Steiner education, we're going to do, I think, a 9-day why is this happening to me again. I'm looking for feedback from people on what you want to participate in. We could do, any of the others. We could do laws of living. We could do codependence to interdependence. We could do intuitive development. There are many different things we could do. It's been years since we've done a Course in Miracles intensive at Heartland. So if you're interested in coming and participating in something, then, drop us a note. Drop Jeanie a note, JEANIE at WHYagain.org, Jeanie at whyagain.org. Make sure to leave your phone number in there and let us know what you're interested in. And then backing out from that, then we're looking at a 16-day food fund forgiveness and work program. So in the food fund forgiveness, it's kind of an economy program for people who say, gee, I just really don't have the money to do a 9-day intensive. And so we pare the price back, and the 16-day food fund forgiveness and work, food, accommodations, workshop materials. During the day, we'll do work projects on the property, and so it's a way to support Heartland and upgrading. And then in the evenings, we'll do workshops each evening, and on Saturday, we'll do mind shifters and still point breathing. So that whole 16 days, residential, including awesome gourmet food, everything, will be $1,700. So we normally for years, it's been a $1,600 project. We're adding a little bit because food prices have gone so crazy. But anyway, so if you're interested in playing, let us know. Drop Jeanie a note. In the meantime, have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. Blessings. Bye-bye.